Hi, welcome to this week's coaching blog. What I'd like to do in this video is take a little look at some shots around the edge of the green. We're going to start with some basic chipping technique, talk you through the different shots that are available to you, and then take a look at a little troublesome shot for most of you out there, which is the lob shot over a bunker to a tight pin. Okay, before we get into the pitching technique and the simplest way of pitching, let's take a little look at some common faults that as instructors we see on a daily basis. In my opinion, chipping actions fall into one or two categories. We've got the guy or the lady who's very wristy, and then as a result of playing some bad golf because of that, we then have the other end of the spectrum where the player becomes very wooden and the movement tends to lack feel. Within those two basic problems, what we've also got are players who, in my opinion, are standing too open to the golf ball, and this in turn results in either a very much out to in action, which is going to impart side spin on the golf ball, not ideal when we're trying to run the ball up the green in a relatively straight line, or what it can also lead to is the club being drifted well behind the player due to the right leg blocking after the arms. Whenever the hands or the club roll behind the player, that lends itself to the arms going too much away from us in the through swing, which can lead to a shank. So what should the basic chipping action look like? Well, first of all, if we start from the floor up, we're going to take a square stance. No need to open the feet up. Nice square stance. Around the edge of the green, we would want the club or the feet to be approximately a club head's width apart. Nice little checkpoint for you. We don't want the feet too wide. That's going to cause problems in regards to controlling distance and the quality of strike that you get. So we've got the feet approximately a club head's width apart. We'd like to play the ball as a benchmark opposite the right heel. Now that can change from shot to shot, but as a basic benchmark opposite the right heel. Position 60% of your weight on your left side or on the lead foot, keeping the handle of the club level with the middle of the left thigh. Once we've done that and we're set up, what we're looking for is a blend between the two basic problems that we saw and discussed earlier. We don't want to be overly wristy, we also don't want to be wooden. So what we see in good chipping techniques is what we call hinge and hold. The player's going to dominate the backswing with the movement of the wrists, so we want to feel a little bit more wristy going back, but then we want to try and feel that we're going to bring the arms through. So the backswing's going to be wristy, the through swing's going to be more with the arms. Hinge, hold. Hinge, then hold. That could almost become a mantra. If you look at some of the best short games in the world, Phil Mickelson in particular, in his recent DVD, talks about that being the mainstay of his short game technique. So feet about a club head's width apart, ball opposite the trail foot or the inside of the trail foot, 60% of your weight on your lead leg, handle of the club level with the middle of the left thigh, and then we're looking to play with a hinge and a hold. I'm sure that if you try that as a basic pattern, you're going to find your chipping improves dramatically in a very short period of time. So once we've got a basic chipping action in place, what can we then do to play some varying shots around the green? Because obviously all shots aren't the same. Sometimes we want to throw the ball further through the air, have it land softer. Other occasions when we want to take the ball and run it up the green. But one thing we can do is we can change clubs, but also from a technique point of view, what we can do is alter the ball position. So what I've done here is I've took the time to place 5 balls in a line. Nice little drill if you want to learn what the ball is going to do from different ball positions. We're going to start with this centre ball as our default ball position, which if you remember is opposite the inside of the back foot. If we then play that shot, hinge and hold, we're going to get a certain trajectory. What we can then do is keep everything in the same place. If we were to move back one ball position, same technique, that's going to produce a slightly lower flight. If we then go up one ball position, same technique, slightly higher flight. to 2 back, to 2 up, keeping the basic structure of your swing the same, moving the ball around in your stance to give you the type of trajectory that's required. Try that, have some fun with it, and I'm sure again that you'll find the results come very, very quickly. So here we are in the position that no one really likes to find themselves in. Short-sided, bunker to go over, pin very close to us, and not a great deal of green to work with. When we're in this sort of situation, we've got one of 2 options. We can either use a very lofted wedge, say somewhere between 60 and 64 degrees. If we do that, we can keep the setup pretty standard as we were looking at earlier and just execute the shot in the normal manner. However, most club golfers carry something in sort of around about the 56 to 58 degree wedge in the bag, so they need to make a few subtle changes. First thing we're going to do is we're going to move the ball up in the stance 2 balls. That's going to give a little bit more loft and allow us to get some trajectory on the shot. The next thing we're going to do is we're just going to open the blade up slightly, maybe 15 or 10-15 degrees, open with the club face rather than being square. Just rotate the club to the right fractionally. When we then set up, we need to point the club where we want the ball to go, which means that our stance line will be slightly to the left. Now when we make that change, one of the problems we see is that when the stance opens and the ball goes forward, the impression we get is that the handle is back and the ball's way forward in the stance. However, if we were to rotate round and see from what the caddy would be seeing, then what we're going to see is that we're actually in a very similar setup to what we were for a standard shot. Even though the ball's gone forward and we've opened up, that just gives the impression when viewed from that camera angle that the handle of the club is back. When we actually see it from square onto the body, we can see that the handle of the club is actually still forward and in line with the middle of the left thigh. That's very important, because if the handle starts to creep back, we're going to start getting very flicky through the hitting area, and as a result we're not going to strike the ball properly and get it over the bunker without too many problems.